Ambassador Elena Chen massaged her temples as the Galactic Conclave entered its 7th hour of debate. The Grand Chamber, a massive spherical room with hovering platforms arranged in concentric rings, buzzed with the translated voices of 247 species. Holographic displays showed the spreading quantum rifts in vivid blue and crimson, cutting across the galaxy's most vital trade routes like infected wounds. The calculations are clear, droned the Medusan High Minister, his tentacled head pulsating with each syllable. A proper solution requires at minimum 17 standard cycles of research before implementation can begin. Elena checked her neural display. 17 cycles. Nearly 23 Earth years. Unacceptable, countered the Proximon delegate, her crystalline for refracting light in patterns that expressed extreme agitation. The Jericho sector will be completely isolated within 2 cycles. Billions rely on those supply lines. The Trilaxian speaker raised his ceremonial staff, its ancient metal gleaming under the chamber's lights. We understand the urgency, but hasty actions could destabilize the entire region. The quantum rifts defy conventional physics. They must be studied properly. Elena observed the familiar deadlock forming. The older civilizations advocated patience and methodical study. The younger species demanded immediate action. Neither side would budge, and meanwhile, the rifts continued expanding. She tapped her communication band, reviewing the latest data packet from Earth's Science Division. Dr. Kato Nakamura's message was typically blunt. These quantum rifts are essentially space-time hiccups. Tell those ancient fossils to stop overthinking it. We have 3 workable solutions ready for testing. Elena smiled despite herself. Humanity had only gained provisional membership in the Conclave 5 years ago. They were infants compared to civilizations that measured their histories in millions of years. Yet in those 5 years, Earth had contributed more practical innovations than most species did in centuries. The Ixidar Hive Queen's translator hummed to life. Perhaps evacuation is the only logical course. We sacrifice 73 worlds now to preserve stability for the remainder. Something snapped inside Elena. 73 worlds. Trillions of lives disrupted or potentially lost because no one wanted to attempt a solution without absolute certainty of success. She stood, breaking protocol. Representatives didn't speak until recognized by the speaker. 300 eyes, compound eyes, sensory ridges, and optical clusters turned toward her. Earth will solve this problem, she stated firmly. The chamber fell silent, a rare moment of complete stillness. The ancient Viren Elder's bioluminescent patterns flickered with what Elena had learned to recognize as confusion. Ambassador Chen, with respect, your species lacks the technological foundation to even properly analyze these anomalies. Elena squared her shoulders. Yet we understand them well enough to see that they're not as complex as you're making them. My science team has developed testable hypotheses and potential solutions. We don't need 17 cycles. We need 2 weeks. A ripple of translator-mediated gasps and murmurs swept through the chamber. Impossible, declared the Xanthi Consortium representative. Elena's patience evaporated. Fine. I'll handle it. She tapped her comm unit, transmitting authorization codes to Dr. Nakamura's team. Earth is initiating an emergency response protocol. We'll have those rifts stabilized within a standard month. The Trilaxian speaker's staff clattered to the floor. The Ixidar Hive Queen's color shifted to an alarmed crimson. The Medusan High Minister's tentacles contracted so rapidly that 2 of them snapped off, a sign of extreme distress. Before anyone could object formally, the Conclave's emergency alert system activated automatically. Across 50 sectors, the same message appeared on communication networks, navigation systems, and public information channels. Human Solution Protocol initiated. Non-essential travel suspended. Emergency measures advised. The Vyern Elder turned to Elena, bioluminescent patterns now pulsing in what she recognized as the pattern for grave concern. Ambassador, the Elder said softly, "What exactly have you just authorized your people to do?" Elena smiled with confidence she didn't entirely feel. To fix what everyone else is afraid to touch. Dr. Maya Okonkwo's makeshift command center had been a botanical research facility 3 days ago. Now, the vast glass dome outside Tokyo housed a chaotic assemblage of equipment, holographic projectors, and sleep-deprived scientists. The central area featured a massive three-dimensional model of the quantum rifts shimmering in electric blue against the backdrop of potted ferns and tropical trees. You realize the Conclave is having 17 different types of nervous breakdowns right now, Ambassador Elena Chen said, her holographic form projected from the Galactic hub station. The Proximon delegation has sealed themselves in their chambers. The Xanthi representatives are performing extinction rites. Maya barely glanced up from her equations. They always overreact. Remember when we showed them our fusion reactor designs? They had reason to worry then, and they have reason to worry now, Elena countered. The last species that attempted to manipulate quantum rifts without proper preparation was the Solari. Their home system is now a stellar nursery. The Solari tried brute force, Dr. Kazuo Takahashi interjected, sliding a complex model across the shared workspace. We're taking a completely different approach. Maya nodded, expanding a section of the holographic rift. The Conclave treats these rifts like they're mysterious cosmic horrors. They're just damaged sections of space-time, cosmic potholes. A loud crash drew their attention as robotics engineer Carlos Mendez's prototype field generator sparked dramatically before shutting down. He emerged from behind the smoking equipment with singed eyebrows but an intact data tablet. Threshold confirmed, he announced triumphantly. The rifts respond to controlled graviton pulses at 17.3 terahertz. Is everything on fire supposed to happen? Elena asked dryly. It's fine, Carlos waved dismissively. Version 2 won't explode. Comforting, Elena muttered. Outside the dome, a delegation of alien observers maintained a precisely calculated safe distance. Their environmental suits were unnecessary in Earth's atmosphere, but the Mollusky ambassador had insisted on contamination protocols. They've made more progress in 3 days than the Conclave's Special Commission did in 6 months, noted junior observer Lirith, her skin shifting through worried patterns of blue and green. The Mollusky ambassador's tentacles curled in distress. They aren't following any established safety protocols. That human just caused a graviton cascade in an unshielded environment and celebrated it as progress. Their approach is unorthodox, Lirith admitted. Unorthodox. The ambassador's voice modulator pitched higher. They'd brought in a chaos mathematician whose theories were deemed too dangerous for publication. That woman over there specializes in experimental quantum tunneling. The one adjusting the field modulator was banned from 3 research stations for excessive creativity. Back inside, Maya gathered her core team. The holographic model now showed a potential solution, a network of field stabilizers that could essentially stitch the frayed edges of space-time back together. The rifts aren't random, explained Dr. Priya Singh, quantum tunneling specialist. They follow predictable fracture patterns. If we create counter-resonance fields at these junction points, we can halt the expansion. And potentially reverse it, added Maya. The Conclave has authorized resource allocation, Elena informed them. But they've imposed conditions. Any testing must occur at minimum safe distance from populated systems. Carlos looked up from his rebuilt prototype. Define minimum safe distance. 50 light years, Elena replied. The scientists exchanged glances. That's excessive, Kazuo protested. That's non-negotiable, Elena countered. You don't understand how terrified they are of our methods. The Viren Elder described human problem-solving as chaos harnessed as a tool. Maya smiled slowly. I'm putting that on our team shirts. Outside, the Mollusky ambassador was completing his urgent report to Conclave Security. They're not approaching this as a research project, but as an engineering problem. They don't seek to understand the quantum rifts completely. They just want to fix them. Most alarmingly, they're enjoying the challenge. The response came immediately. Begin evacuation procedures for all non-essential personnel within 100 light years of Earth's testing zone. The last time humans engineered a solution to a theoretical problem, they accidentally weaponized light speed. The Nyx Collective's orbital platforms shifted into defense configuration, their crystalline structures realigning to form an impenetrable energy lattice around the homeworld. Similar scenes unfolded across the galaxy as ancient civilizations activated dormant security measures, some unused for millennia. The situation has been reclassified, announced the Archon of Mentis to the High Security Council. The telepathic species rarely spoke aloud, an indication of the gravity of the meeting. Human Innovation Protocol is now categorized as a Level 3 uncertainty event. The Tarak Legion commander, a scarred veteran of 17 interstellar conflicts, studied the tactical display showing the movement of their warships to strategic positions near major hyperspace junctions. These deployments will stretch our resources thin. A necessary precaution, the Archon responded. The humans have compressed a 17-cycle research timeline into days. Their approach lacks the foundational understanding our scientists consider essential. Yet they progress rapidly, noted the Chronos Syndicate representative, his silver eyes reflecting the holographic data streams. Their prototype already demonstrates partial stabilization effects. On the Conclave station, Ambassador Elena found herself increasingly isolated. The usual diplomatic receptions had been quietly cancelled. Our scheduled meetings were postponed or conducted via holographic connection rather than in person. Her suspicions were confirmed when she discovered security scans being performed on her quarters during her absence. The final insult came at the Central Garden, an oasis designed for interspecies diplomatic mingling, when several representatives visibly redirected their paths to avoid her vicinity. The Parine delegate, Lyrics, was one of the few still willing to engage directly. The crystalline being's geometric form glimmered under the garden's light as they settled beside Elena on a viewing platform. Your species creates discomfort, Lyrics stated without preamble, their voice a harmonious chime generated by vibrating crystal facets. So I've noticed, Elena replied dryly. 3 days ago I was handling routine trade negotiations. Now I'm treated like I'm carrying a biological weapon. In a sense, you are. Lyrics' facets pulsed thoughtfully. Your species carries a cognitive approach that most find destabilizing. We're trying to help, Elena protested. With methodology classified as potentially catastrophic, Lyrics countered. You are approaching a Class 7 problem with Class 3 technology and Class 1 caution protocols. Historical precedent suggests a significant probability of unintended consequences. You mean we might make it worse? No, Lyrics corrected, crystal facets, shifting to a pattern Elena recognized as denoting serious concern. We fear you might solve it in a way that fundamentally alters established scientific principles. Again. Elena's neural display pinged with an incoming transmission from Earth. Dr. Okonkwo's team had moved to testing phase after just 11 days, ahead of even their ambitious schedule. Meanwhile, deep in uncharted space, enigmatic vessels emerged from the stellar darkness. The witnesses, a species so ancient that most considered them mythological, activated monitoring arrays untouched for centuries. Their living ships, each a city-sized organism of incomprehensible biology, oriented toward Earth's sector. The eldest witness, a being who had observed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, communed with the ship's neural network. The preliminary analysis troubled her. Humans were not merely addressing the quantum rifts. They were developing methodologies that could potentially rewrite the fundamental laws governing rift formation. They do not understand the principles upon which they intrude, she communicated to the witness conclave. They seek to repair without comprehending the whole. Should we intervene? Asked a younger witness. Not yet, the eldest decided. But prepare the memory crystals. Whatever happens, this will need to be remembered. Across the galaxy, the Xanthi Consortium deployed their legendary predictive engines, quantum computers designed to calculate probability chains. For the first time in recorded history, the engines returned contradictory results when analyzing human innovation outcomes. The lead analyst stared at the impossible readings with growing dread. The probability matrix cannot stabilize, she reported to her superiors. Human problem-solving introduces too many chaotic variables. What does that mean in practical terms? Demanded the consortium director. The analyst hesitated before responding. It means their solution might succeed brilliantly, or tear a hole in reality itself. And the engines cannot tell us which is more likely. The research vessel Dauntless hovered at the edge of the quantum rift, its sleek hull adorned with hastily installed equipment that gave it the appearance of a graceful sea creature, festooned with bizarre technological barnacles. Captain Sarah Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching her crew make final preparations with the calm efficiency that had earned her command of Earth's most advanced scientific vessel. All systems nominal, reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson from his station. Quantum stabilizers at 98% synchronization. Dr. Okonkwo reports they're ready in the lab, added Communications Officer Park. Sarah nodded, keenly aware of the alien observation fleet, maintaining position exactly 50 million kilometers away, the minimum safe distance mandated by the conclave. Open a channel to the observation fleet, she ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the Xanthi Admiral's elongated features. His expression remained carefully neutral, though Sarah had learned enough about Xanthi physiology to recognize the stress indicators in his eye membranes. Captain Rodriguez, the Admiral acknowledged. We have confirmed your test zone perimeter is secure. No unauthorized vessels within 100 million kilometers. Quite the audience for a field test, Sarah remarked, noting the tactical display showing over 70 ships of various configurations. The conclave considers this operation significant, the Admiral replied delicately. Sarah resisted the urge to smile. We'll proceed with the stabilization sequence momentarily. Dauntless out. The view screen returned to the swirling chaos of the quantum rift, a tear in space-time that pulsed with energies that shouldn't exist in normal space, beautiful in a terrifying way. They've evacuated 5 star systems for this test, Jackson murmured. Is our solution really that dangerous? It's not about danger, Sarah replied. It's about uncertainty. The galaxy doesn't like uncertainty. 3 decks below, Dr. Maya Okonkwo made final adjustments to what her team had dubbed the quantum bandage, a complex array of modified graviton emitters synchronized with field stabilizers and a predictive algorithm based on Dr. Singh's revolutionary chaos mathematics. All field harmonizers locked in, Carlos confirmed, his fingers dancing across the control interface. Ready when you are, Maya. Maya took a deep breath, eyes fixed on the holographic model of their solution overlaid on the actual rift. 11 days of work, countless simulations, 3 prototype failures, all leading to this moment. Beginning stabilization sequence in 3, 2, 1. She activated the system. The Dauntless thrummed as enormous energies channeled through its modified systems. For several agonizing seconds, nothing visibly changed in the quantum rift. Energy patterns still chaotic, reported Dr. Singh, tension evident in her voice. No stabilization effect detected. Give it time, Maya insisted, adjusting power allocation. The field needs to establish resonance. Aboard the Xanthi flagship, the Admiral watched with growing concern as human scientists made real-time modifications to their equipment during the actual test, a practice so reckless by galactic standards that several of his officers had to be sedated after witnessing it. Their increasing power to the graviton array, reported his science officer in horrified fascination, without recalibrating the containment fields first. Should we increase our distance? Asked his second-in-command. The Admiral considered the question soberly. The simulation models suggest even at this distance, if their experiment creates a cascading quantum collapse, we would have approximately 3 seconds to appreciate our impending molecular dissociation. On the Dauntless, Maya's team worked with focused intensity, adjusting parameters on the fly as their instruments gathered real-time data from the rift. Wait, I'm detecting harmonic convergence, Dr. Singh announced suddenly. The chaotic patterns are beginning to synchronize. The view screen showed it clearly now. The wild, unpredictable energies of the rift were gradually settling into more stable patterns. The jagged edges of the tear began to smooth, like frayed fabric being carefully mended. It's working. Carlos shouted, staring at his readings in disbelief. Of course it's working. Maya responded, already making adjustments to improve the effect. Now let's make it work better. Captain Rodriguez watched the quantum rift transform from a chaotic wound in spacetime to a stable, contained phenomenon. She opened a channel to the observation fleet, unable to keep a hint of pride from her voice. Conclave Observation Fleet, this is Captain Rodriguez. Phase 1 of Operation Quantum Bandage has been successfully completed. The rift is stabilized. After a long pause, the Xanthi Admiral responded, his voice containing something humans rarely heard from the methodical species, genuine astonishment. Acknowledged, Dauntless. The Conclave congratulates Earth on this achievement. What he didn't transmit was the message already speeding toward Galactic Central. Human stabilization method successful. Implications unknown but potentially revolutionary. Recommend immediate full analysis of methodology. Priority classification. Existential. The emergency session of the Galactic Security Council took place in a shielded chamber buried deep within the Conclave Station. Representatives from the 12 most powerful civilizations gathered around an ancient table of living crystal that hummed with privacy harmonics, ensuring their deliberations remained absolutely confidential. The human solution worked, admitted the Regulan Prime Minister grudgingly, her scaled hands spreading wide in a gesture of bewildered acceptance. Indeed, agreed the Viren Elder, bioluminescent patterns shifting thoughtfully. In 16 standard days, they achieved what our projections estimated would require 12 years using approved methodologies. That is precisely the problem, countered the Archon of Mentis, her telepathic voice resonating directly in their minds. Their approach violated 17 established safety protocols. They implemented a theoretical model without sentry testing. Their scientists modified critical components during the live test. Holographic displays showed the stabilized quantum rift, now a docile shimmer rather than a chaotic wound in space-time. Alongside it, data streams revealed the unexpected side effects of the human solution, ripples in the fabric of reality that extended far beyond the immediate repair zone. They didn't just fix the rifts, observed the Xanthi admiral who had witnessed the test. They developed entirely new principles of space-time manipulation as a byproduct. The quantum bandage, as they call it, utilizes mechanics our scientists considered theoretically impossible. The pattern continues, noted the ancient Chronos delegate, is silver eyes reflecting the data streams. Humans identify problems, create solutions that ignore conventional limitations, and in doing so, rewrite our understanding of what is possible. Their innovation curve is accelerating beyond predictable parameters. The Ixidar Hive Queen added, mandibles clicking nervously. This was their first major intervention in galactic scale physics. Their solution demonstrates intuitive leaps our scientists cannot follow. The Trilaxian speaker, who presided over the meeting, activated a secure data node. We must implement the contingency measures established after the humans' first contact. Without appearing to do so, cautioned the Viren Elder, they must not perceive our actions as punitive or restrictive. They respond poorly to direct constraints. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity celebrated. News outlets praised the quantum bandage as another triumph of human ingenuity. Dr. Okonkwo's team received a hero's welcome, with global leaders hailing their achievement as proof of humanity's readiness for a greater role in galactic affairs. No one noticed when several alien corporations suddenly cancelled technology-sharing initiatives with Earth, citing regulatory reassessments. Few questioned why the Galactic Library's Advanced Physics section experienced technical difficulties whenever human researchers requested access. The sudden bureaucratic delays affecting Earth's applications for expansion beyond their solar system were attributed to normal administrative processes. Ambassador Elena, however, grew increasingly suspicious. Her scheduled address to the full conclave was postponed 3 times before being reduced to a brief written statement. Her diplomatic counterparts remained cordial but distant, their conversations carefully steered away from substantive topics. When she finally cornered the Paurine delegate Lyrics in a secluded corner of the diplomatic lounge, Elena's patience had reached its limit. "What's happening?" she demanded. "Earth just solved a crisis that threatened billions of lives, and we're being treated like we committed a crime." Lyrics's crystalline form shimmered with reluctance. "The situation is complex." "Simplify it," Elena insisted. The Paurine's facets pulsed in what Elena recognized as a sigh. "Your solution worked, yes, brilliantly so. But in achieving it, your scientists casually rewrote theoretical principles that underpin our understanding of quantum mechanics." "That's called progress," Elena countered. "For humans, perhaps." Lyrics's tone softened. "Most galactic civilizations advance through careful refinement of established knowledge. Small steps, thoroughly tested. Your species leaps forward, unconcerned about landing on unstable ground." "We saved lives," Elena argued. "Trillions of them." "Yes," agreed lyrics, and transformed fundamental physics as a side effect. Dr. Okonkwo's team didn't just repair the quantum rifts. They developed a methodology that could, in theory, be used to create them. That possibility concerns many. Across the station, the Security Council reached its decision. The Trilaxian speaker's voice was grave as he summarized their consensus. The classification is approved. Human problem-solving methodology is now officially designated a Category A disruption risk, comparable to uncontrolled artificial intelligence or unrestricted nanotechnology. The Viren elders' bioluminescence dimmed with concern. What of their pending applications for expanded colonization rights? For access to prohibited research? Denied, the speaker replied. Though we will cite ordinary regulatory concerns rather than security classifications. They will notice eventually, warned the Kronos delegate. By then, the Archon of Mentis responded, our containment protocols will be fully implemented. None of them voiced the uncomfortable truth. They needed human innovation, but feared its consequences. The galaxy had found itself in an unprecedented situation, dependent on a species whose approach to problem-solving terrified them. 3 months after the quantum rift solution, Dr. Maya Okonkwo stood in her laboratory at the newly established Quantum Response Division, staring at incomplete schematics with growing frustration. What should have been a straightforward collaboration with the Medusan Science Academy had become an exercise in diplomatic evasion. Another delay? Asked Carlos, noting her expression. The specifications for their graviton stabilizers are incomplete, Maya confirmed, gesturing to the obvious gaps in the technical data. Critical resonance parameters conveniently missing. 3rd time this month. Similar scenarios played out across Earth's scientific community. Funding for space exploration flowed freely, but actual collaboration with alien partners had become mysteriously difficult. Research visas faced mounting delays. Exchange programs were postponed citing nebulous security protocols. Ambassador Elena Chen paced her private office aboard the Conclave station, her neural display filled with troubling patterns she'd spent weeks compiling. Applications for expanded human colonization rights, indefinitely delayed. Requests for access to advanced research facilities, denied with vague explanations. Technology sharing initiatives, cancelled or severely limited in scope. Something had changed fundamentally in Earth's relationship with the galactic community, and the timing was unmistakable. It had begun immediately after the quantum rift solution. Computer, secure communication to Director Harrington, Earth Intelligence Service, Elena commanded. The aging spymaster's weathered face appeared on her display moments later. Ambassador, I was about to contact you. You found something? Elena asked. Indeed. My team intercepted a rather interesting diplomatic pouch en route to the Xanthi embassy. It contained classified conclave security directives. Regarding Earth. Specifically regarding human problem-solving containment protocols. Fascinating reading. Hours later, Elena sat alone in her quarters, struggling to process what she had learned. The documents detailed a comprehensive system for limiting human expansion and innovation without appearing to do so. Technology transfers were to be carefully managed to prevent disruptive acceleration. Human access to certain scientific principles was to be guided along established pathways. Most disturbing were the contingency plans developed specifically for Earth, monitoring systems, technology transfer restrictions, and response scenarios for what they termed extreme innovation events. Her comm unit chimed with a priority alert. The Conclave Inner Circle had summoned her to an unscheduled session. a rare occurrence that suggested something significant had happened. When she arrived at the chamber, the atmosphere was tense in a way she'd had never experienced before. The Trilaxian speaker acknowledged her with uncharacteristic directness. Ambassador Chen, we have become aware of certain intelligence activities conducted by your government. Elena maintained a diplomatic smile. I'm afraid you'll need to be more specific. Documents were obtained through unauthorized means, the Viren Elder stated, bioluminescence patterns conveying displeasure, classified security protocols. Interesting timing, Elena replied coolly. I was about to request clarification on those exact protocols. A moment of silence settled over the chamber. Ambassador, the ancient Viren Elder finally spoke with unexpected candor. You see a problem and rush to fix it. Your species celebrates those who break rules to find solutions. You embrace risk as necessary progress. These qualities make humans brilliant innovators and terrifying neighbors. We solved your crisis, Elena argued, abandoning pretense. We stabilized the quantum rifts when no one else could. Yes, agreed the Trilaxian speaker, and we are grateful. But you didn't just fix the quantum rifts. You developed entirely new principles of space-time manipulation as a side effect. Your quantum bandage has implications your own scientists haven't yet realized. The Archon of Mentis joined the conversation, her telepathic voice unusually gentle. Ambassador, do you know why the Solari attempted to manipulate quantum rifts despite lacking complete understanding of the principles involved? I assume they faced a similar crisis, Elena responded. No, the Archon corrected. They simply wanted to prove they could. Curiosity, ambition, the desire to advance without adequate caution. They never considered the possibility of failure until their home system was reduced to its component atoms. Elena felt a chill at the comparison. Humans aren't the Solari. Indeed, the Viren Elder agreed. You are more creative, more adaptable, and far more unpredictable. The Solari at least followed established theoretical frameworks. Humans disregard those frameworks when convenient. What do you want from us? Elena asked directly. Patience, the Trilaxian speaker answered. Caution, the willingness to advance more slowly, more methodically. In other words, Elena translated, to become less human. As she left the chamber, Elena realized the true complexity of humanity's position. They had solved an unsolvable problem and gained the galaxy's attention, but not in the way they had hoped. Their greatest strengths were viewed as their most dangerous qualities. Her neural display pinged with an urgent message from Earth. Another crisis was brewing, this one potentially worse than the quantum rifts. She read the brief with growing concern, knowing that the Conclave's reaction to another human intervention would be even more severe. Yet what choice did they have? When faced with an impossible problem, humans couldn't help themselves. They would always say, "Fine, I'll handle it." The detection came from monitoring station Epsilon 17, a remote outpost in the Cygnus Arm. Unknown energy signatures, massive power readings, and then silence. The station's final transmission contained only fragmentary sensor data before all communications ceased. 2 days later, the pattern repeated at Mining Colony Helix. Their distress call lasted exactly 6 seconds. "They're through our shields. There." Within a week, 17 outposts and 3 colonies had fallen silent along the galactic rim. The Conclave emergency protocols activated automatically, summoning representatives to the crisis chamber. Holographic displays showed the spreading darkness, a wave of communication blackouts expanding inward from the edge of explored space. Ambassador Elena Chen watched the Galactic Defense Minister present the initial assessment, her expression growing more troubled with each slide. The methodical Taruk commander's presentation was thorough, detailed, and maddeningly slow. Preliminary analysis suggests an unknown hostile force of significant technological capability, he explained, highlighting sensor readings. Energy signatures indicate weapons systems unlike any currently deployed by known species. "How long until you can deploy a response fleet?" asked the Regulan Prime Minister. "We have initiated mobilization protocols," the Defense Minister replied. "The first scout vessels will reach the affected region in 26 days. A proper defensive force can be assembled within 6 months." 6 months. Elena interrupted, breaking protocol again. "The Taiyu colony has over 8 million inhabitants. New Andromeda has 12 million. You're talking about response times that guarantee their loss." The chamber fell silent at her outburst. The Defense Minister regarded her with professional detachment. "Ambassador Chen, I understand your concern. However, proper assessment, strategic planning, and force coordination require methodical implementation. Rushing would likely result in ineffective response." Elena's neural display pinged with incoming data from Earth's own analysis team. Dr. Okonkwo had been working with the fragmentary sensor readings, applying the same unorthodox approach that had solved the quantum rifts. "Minister," Elena said carefully, "Earth would like to offer assistance with this situation." The change in the room was immediate and palpable. The Viren Elder's bioluminescent patterns shifted to alarm patterns. The Ixodar Hive Queen's translator emitted a high-pitched warning tone. The Trilaxian speaker intervened smoothly. "Ambassador, we appreciate Earth's willingness to help. However, this situation requires standard conclave military protocols, not experimental approaches." Before Elena could respond, emergency alerts sounded throughout the chamber. A communications officer rushed in, his professional composure cracking. "The Taiyu colony has fallen," he announced. Their final transmission reported enemy forces penetrating their innermost defences despite all countermeasures. "How?" demanded the Defense Minister. "Their shield technology was state-of-the-art." "Unknown, sir. Their last message was simply, 'They're inside our shields.'" New information flooded the displays as more colonies reported contact with the unknown hostiles. The patterns became clearer and more alarming. The enemy ignored established battle doctrine, adapted instantly to defensive measures, and moved with a speed that defied strategic prediction. 6 hours later, New Andromeda fell silent. Then Proxima Station. The strategic projections shifted from concerning to catastrophic. At current advance rates, 67 populated systems would be lost before the defense fleet could engage. Elena watched the mounting horror in the chamber as the conclave representatives faced an uncomfortable truth. Their careful, methodical approach could not respond quickly enough to this threat. The Tarok Defense Minister's expression had transformed from professional confidence to grim resignation. In a stunning break with tradition, the ancient Viren Elder turned directly to Elena, bioluminescence patterns conveying what she recognized as desperate urgency. "Ambassador Chen," the Elder said, voice soft but clear enough for all to hear, "the conclave finds itself in an unprecedented situation. Your species' approach, what we have previously regarded with concern, may be what this crisis requires." Elena maintained her diplomatic composure despite her surprise. "Are you asking for Earth's intervention?" "We are acknowledging," the Trilaxian speaker clarified carefully, "that this threat appears to require a solution that prioritizes speed over perfection, adaptation over planning." The Archon of Mentis joined the conversation, her telepathic voice resonating with reluctant admission. Humanity's unorthodox methodology may be uniquely suited to this particular crisis. Elena studied the faces around her. Beings who had recently classified human problem-solving as a potential threat, now looking to that same approach for salvation. The irony wasn't lost on her, but there was no time for petty satisfaction. Earth will need unrestricted access to all available data, full resource authorization, and operational freedom, she stated firmly. The motion passed unanimously, without debate, an unprecedented event in conclave history. Within hours, the galaxy-wide alert system broadcast a new message alongside evacuation orders. Human Emergency Response Protocol activated. All non-essential restrictions suspended. As Elena transmitted the authorization to Earth, she knew what would follow. Humanity would do what it always did when faced with an impossible problem. Roll up its sleeves and say, "Fine, I'll handle it." Earth transformed into a planet-wide crisis center overnight. The United Nations Extraterrestrial Defense Command, a facility built beneath the Himalayas after first contact, hummed with activity as specialists from across human civilization converged with urgent purpose. Dr. Maya Okonkwo stood at the center of the command hub, surrounded by holographic displays showing the fragmented data from fallen colonies. Unlike the methodical, specialty-segregated approach of the conclave, Earth's response defied conventional organization. The massive chamber contained not just military strategists and scientists, but historians, game designers, science fiction authors, and even a renowned cetacean behaviorist. Their attack patterns show evolutionary logic, explained Dr. Lena Patel, the marine biologist who specialized in predator behavior. They're not just conquering, they're hunting. Like oceanic pack predators, agreed General Williams, studying the movement patterns. They isolate, then swarm. Ambassador Elena Chen's holographic form observed from her position at the conclave station. The Tarok Defense Minister reports their fleet will be in position in 3 weeks. Can we have something by then? We'll have something in 3 days. Maya replied with the confidence that had both impressed and terrified the galactic community. Not a complete solution, but a starting point. The Xanthi observer assigned to monitor Earth's response visibly flinched at this timeline. His report back to the conclave would describe the process as controlled chaos with alarming efficiency. Multiple approaches developed simultaneously. Some failed spectacularly. An early attempt at communication based on mathematical principles resulted in the complete destruction of an unmanned probe. Others showed unexpected promise. The Invaders appeared vulnerable to certain frequency combinations discovered by a composer working with quantum physicists. They're not responding to standard subspace frequencies because they're not fully in our dimensional plane, theorized Dr. Takahashi, building on the composer's discovery. They're phase-shifted, which explains how they penetrate shields designed for normal space. Within 48 hours, the first prototype countermeasures were ready for deployment. The Tarok Legion commander, invited to observe the human military planning session, watched with professional admiration as Earth's tacticians implemented rapid, adaptive strategies rather than following established doctrine. They're not fighting according to established principles, he observed to his adjutant. Humans don't follow principles, his adjutant responded. They pursue objectives. As the counter-offensive prepared to launch, a delegation from the Galactic Security Council arrived on Earth, the first time in history that such high-ranking officials had visited the planet in person. The ancient Virm Elder, the Trilaxian speaker, and the Archon of Mentis were escorted into the command center just as final preparations were underway. They observed in silence as humans coordinated a defensive strategy that, by galactic standards, appeared reckless to the point of madness. Multiple approaches would be attempted simultaneously. Failed tactics would be abandoned without lengthy analysis. Successful elements would be immediately reinforced and expanded. "This is how you normally operate?" The Vyern Elder asked Maya quietly. "Pretty much," she confirmed, not looking up from her calculations. "We try things. If they work, great. If not, we try something else. Without certainty of success. If we waited for certainty, we'd never do anything important." The defense fleet launched with modified shields, incorporating Dr. Takahashi's phase-shifting countermeasures. The battle strategy designed by Earth's tacticians bewildered the observing alien strategists. Feints within feints, sacrificial plays to gain information, constantly shifting approaches that prevented the enemy from adapting. 3 weeks later, the invasion halted. 2 months after that, the unknown force retreated entirely from Conclave space. In the aftermath, Ambassador Elena stood before the full Galactic Conclave. The mood was subdued. Billions had been lost, but trillions had been saved by humanity's intervention. The Conclave extends its formal gratitude to Earth, the Trilaxian speaker announced. "Your methods, while unorthodox, proved uniquely effective against this unprecedented threat." And yet, Elena noted with diplomatic precision, those same methods were recently classified as a disruption risk. An uncomfortable silence settled over the chamber. Perhaps, the Vyern Elder finally spoke, bioluminescent patterns conveying thoughtful consideration. "A reassessment is warranted." The resolution passed with overwhelming support, the establishment of a new conclave protocol. When conventional approaches failed, when the situation demanded immediate, creative solutions, a special authorization would be granted. Human problem-solving protocol authorized. The galaxy still went on high alert when humans declared, "Fine, I'll handle it." But now it was with a complex mixture of dread and relief. As the Vyern Elder explained to her young, "We build our civilization on careful progress and predictable outcomes. Humans embrace chaos as a tool. Both approaches have their place. But when facing the unknown, sometimes chaos is exactly what the universe requires."